Sheila Mugisha is a lesbian. She's lived her entire life under attack. Sheila's worst fears were realized at only 12 years old. She had already started to show interest in other girls, and she then became the target of what is known here as curative rape. Curative rape is the process of sexually assaulting someone, hoping that that process will turn them into a heterosexual.
Yeah.
And this has happened to you?
It has happened to me.
Can you tell me anything about that?
At the age of 12, I had a friend at home. And actually, usually these things are done by our friends. But I had always told him my secrets, my stories, my encounters in bed. So he would tell me, but you know what? I want to teach you how to play with boys, not with girls. He put his leg here, and then he got into my body, into my vagina, and I screamed because I'd never had any sex. I'd never known, you know, any of those practices. So then after he's like, from now you're going to learn how to play with boys.
As a result of the rape, Sheila became pregnant at the age of 12. Her family took her to have the child aborted, but the effects of the rape continued.
I went to a certain AIDS information center in Mengo with a friend. I took a test and it was positive.
Sheila has lived with the HIV/AIDS virus now for almost 20 years, but she's constantly harassed and is almost always on the move. Uganda's Minister for Ethics and Integrity, James Buturo, didn't believe a word of it.
I've never heard of that, actually, but they lie a lot. Lies. They use that as a major tool because, you see, that's the only way they garner sympathy from all over the world. Now, the idea that in Uganda we have plans to kill gays, you know that the bill of Honorable Bahati is intended to kill homosexuals. That is a view which the entire world has got, yet it's not the case.
There is a clause, however, that does allow capital punishment for repeated acts of homosexuality in that bill.
Now, remember, that is a proposal of a member of parliament. We have not yet discussed this as lawmakers, and I do believe that clause will change.
The death sentence is the most contentious part of the anti-homosexuality bill. Lad Rakafuzi is a lawyer representing Uganda's homosexual community.
When you have not killed a person, really, it would really be very difficult to be sentenced to death. It has not happened before. When you have not killed a person, you can't be sentenced to death. There's no court which has done it. So I don't know how this bill can come up with that kind of thing. It's kind of vindictive and written in bad anger. It's not really meant to solve problems of society.
Even if the death penalty is removed, the anti-homosexuality bill would still have sweeping powers under the clauses that deal with the promotion of homosexuality. If the Anti-Homosexuality Act were to be passed, courts like this could have their hands full. A whole range of everyday behaviors, including public touching, text messaging, or reporting on a gay or lesbian issue, would be criminalized. Even witnessing an act of same-sex public affection and failing to report it to the authorities could land you in the dock.
I think the bill addresses the real problem. And the real problem is promotion of homosexuality in Uganda. Whether it is the children, whether it is the adult people, whoever, it's the real problem.
David Bahati and Moses Male both believe that if no one is promoting a homosexual lifestyle, there simply won't be homosexuals.
None is born a homosexual.
No one is born a homosexual.
Homosexuality is a habit that is gradually learned. When it is gradually learned, it can finally become an addiction. Just like drugs, just like alcoholism, just like...
Yet there are a great many homosexual men and women, gay and lesbian women, who claim very strongly that they have felt that they were homosexual since birth.
They are liars. How did a homosexual feel that he was a homosexual when 1 day old? That's a lie.
Lad Rakafuzi tells me that this idea of promotion is the biggest danger for Uganda's sexual minorities.
Oh, yes, from. You're most welcome. Thank you. Yes. That means shutting out debate on these issues. So, which means it will infringe on the freedom to speak and freedom to communicate and to receive information.
It can mean any kind of promotional materials like brochures. It can mean any kind of information on health. It can mean any kind of information on HIV/AIDS. Promotion can mean any kind of donor funding coming in for non-government organizations or human rights groups who are working on sexuality, which also includes same-sex.
The government says that the bill has drawn a long bow to protect the people of Uganda from a force that has been let loose on its streets and back alleys, what James Buturu calls the Western homosexual juggernaut.
I do see the homosexual juggernaut really all out to impose a way of life on everybody. And that's why in our country, which is, by the way, the reason we're discussing this, there has been a huge amount of aggressive promotion, you know, in our schools, in our communities, by groups that are largely from outside this country. We've seen a lot of funding going to community groups with a view that these groups can now begin to promote homosexuality in our land.
What Buturu calls a homosexual juggernaut, others call a Western human rights agenda. Uganda has come under heavy fire from Western governments over the bill.
We may disagree about gay marriage, but surely we can agree that it is unconscionable to target gays and lesbians for who they are, whether it's here in the United States or, as Hillary mentioned, more extremely and odious laws that are being proposed, most recently in Uganda.
Threats have been made to withdraw foreign aid money and even ban the bill's author from traveling to the West.
The reaction by the international community and everybody who has been negatively reacting to this testify to the fact that indeed this was a big problem. So it is.
So you feel that proves you're right?
It proves me right that what I'm engaged in is worth engaging in.
Many here have pointed to an influx of American evangelical influence and money in the last 2 years as the beginning of the public outcry against homosexuals.
It's not just for America. We've come to the youth of Uganda. Separate yourselves. Go into a life of fasting and prayer. And keep on praying.